Hello and welcome to Dr. T's Algebra 2. In this video we're going to do a little bit of review, or maybe for some people it's not review. We'll start off with some absolute value equations. So when we have an absolute value equation, we're just going to work out the solutions for positive and negative values opposite the variable there. So we're going to get 4x plus 6 equals positive 26. And so 4x plus 6 equals 26. We'll just go through the progression there, move 6 over to the right by subtracting. 4x equals 26 minus 6, or 20. Divide by 4. And we get x is equal to 5. That's our first solution. Now in absolute value equations we have two solutions, and this has been confusing to some people, but let's think of the square root of 4. Generally we'll say the square root of 4 is 2. However, if we look more deeply into it, we'll see that negative 2 squared equals 4, and 2 squared equals 4. And so if both negative 2 and positive 2 squared equal 4, then the square root of 4 is actually both positive and negative 4. And if we draw a number line, absolute value indicates the distance from 0. And so we have a value on the right that is any distance from 0, 1, 2, 100, a million, a billion, infinity. And we have another value on the left, which is the same distance from 0. On the positive side, we've got the positive a. On the negative side, we've got the negative a. And so when we're talking about absolute value equations, there are two distinct values that have the same distance from 0. So our first one is 5. Let's now look at negative 26 equals 4x plus 6. Let's subtract 6 again. We get negative 32 equals 4x. Divide by 4, and we get negative 8 equals x. And so we have two distinct solutions here. One is x equals 5. The other is x equals negative 8. Moving along. So again, we're going to set the non-variable side to positive or negative. So let's first work out this as it is equals positive 2. So we'll multiply by 6. We get negative 8 minus 5r equals 12. Then add 8 over to the other side. We get negative 5 equals 12 plus 8. Negative 5r equals 12 plus 8, or 20. Divide by negative 5, and then we get r is equal to negative 4. For the other solution, we're going to set it equal to negative 2. So multiplying 6 by negative 2 is going to give us negative 12. We'll get negative 8 minus 5r equals negative 12. Again, that's negative 2 times 6. Add 8 to negative 12, we get negative 5r is equal to negative 8 plus 12, or negative 4. Divide by 5, we get r is equal to negative 4 over negative 5, or 4/5. Calculators are going to tell you that's 0.8. It's the same thing. Two solutions for absolute value, because there are two distinct places on a number line that are equidistant from 0. In this next example, we've got to first isolate the absolute value here. We want to have only that on the left of the equal sign. And so let's move this 8 over to the other side by subtraction, and we get the negative absolute value of 7y minus 9 equals 3 minus 8, or negative 5. Now we want to get rid of this negative sign by multiplying or dividing by negative 1. And so we're going to get the absolute value of 7y minus 9 equals 5. So that's going to be our actual absolute value equation here. Now let's carry out the operations like we did before. We're going to set this equal to positive or negative y, drop those absolute value signs there, and evaluate it for positive and negative 5. And so we get 7y minus 9 equals 5. Add the 9 over there, we get 7y equals 14. Divide by 7, y equals 2. Next solution, 7y minus 9 equals negative 5. Add the 9 over to the other side. 7y equals 4. Divide by 7, y equals 4/7. For this last one, we are going to treat all of this like a quantity over here. And so we're going to get 8k minus 5 equals positive 4k minus 23. We're going to move these values to the other side to combine like terms. 8 minus 4 is 4k, and that's equal to negative 23 plus 5, or negative 18. Divide by 4. We get k is equal to negative 18 over 4, or negative 9 halves, or negative 4.5. Next, we get 8k minus 5 is equal to negative 4k plus 23. Again, move the variables to the left, so we get 12k. Move the constants to the right, we get 23 plus 5, or 28. Divide by 12, we get k is equal to 28 over 12, or 14 over 6, or 7 over 3. That's a repeating decimal. That's going to be 2 1/3. Now, notice up here it says be sure to check for extraneous solutions. Extraneous means it looks like it's a solution, but it's actually not. And I didn't check the others just because they weren't extraneous. But let's check this one. And hint, it's going to be one of these extraneous solutions. I need to make myself a little bit of extra space. And so we've got negative 4.5. Now let's plug that back into the original equation. Take out the calculators. We got 8 times negative 4.5. Maybe in the absolute value here. Minus 5. 8 times negative 4.5 is negative 36. Negative 36 minus 5 is negative 41. The absolute value of negative 41 is 41. Now let's plug it into the other side of the equation. 4 times negative 4.5 minus 23. 4 times negative 4.5 is negative 18. Negative 18 minus 23 is negative 41. These two things are not equal, and so this is an extraneous solution. Let's look at the next one. The absolute value of 8 times 7/3 minus 5. Plug it in the calculator. 8 times 7/3 is 18 1/3. Sorry, 18 2/3. 18 2/3 minus 5 equals 13 2/3. How about on the other side? 4 times 7/3 minus 23. 4 times 7/3 is 9 1/3. Minus 23 is negative 13 2/3. So we are on the opposite end, and again, these are not equal. So that is not a solution, that is an extraneous solution. They come up sometimes, and so indeed it takes extra time to go back and plug in your answers, which is why Wolfram Alpha and other online calculators are very helpful, because they'll come up with this very quickly. However, you need to know, or it's important to know, that the absolute value is the distance from 0. and there are two distinct values, one on the left, one on the right, where the distance from 0 is equal. And likewise, when we're talking about the square root of something like x squared, this is going to be two values. This is plus n minus x. And we know that because of real applications, like negative 2 squared is 4, and 2 squared is 4. And so the square root of 4 is actually plus or minus 2, positive and negative 2. All right, this has been Absolute Values with Dr. T's Algebra 2 class.